Detective, you indicated you had an interview with Mr. Harrison on the 4th of March, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the video that you watched, right?
Yes, sir.
And at any point, Mr. Dodge showed you that form, he asked him if he understood his rights, correct? And he said he understood his rights, correct?
That's correct.
And at no point did you ask him if he was willing to waive those rights, did you?
It's self-explanatory during the Miranda form.
Does it say on that form that I hereby agree to talk to you and waive my rights?
If you listen to it, if you look at it specifically, it states you have a right to an attorney and have him knowledge during questions. You can stop answering questions at any time until you speak with the attorney.
Does it say that anywhere on this form, he said 30, that I agree to waive my rights and I agree to speak with you? That's right.
Basis. Say what you got it.
Let me, no, that's
In
not.
fact, there's another Boston Police Department form that does in fact include the language that I agree to waive my rights and to speak with you. You've seen that form, haven't you?
I may have, this is the one I printed from the computer.
This is the one you print from the computer, but you print another one from the computer that explicitly states that you agree, correct?
I wasn't privy to that form.
How many years have you been a police officer?
29 years.
29 years police officer.
It's got nothing to do with what the word waive is on that.
During the course of this interview with Mr. Harrison indicated you that there were a couple weapons in his apartment, correct?
Yes, he did.
He indicated maybe a shotgun, correct?
Yes,
And a rifle,
that's correct.
.22 caliber rifle.
Yes,
And you asked him if he had either any of the firearm identification cards or license to carry, correct?
that's correct.
And he indicated he once had a FID card, correct?
Yes, he
And
did.
you investigated that, correct? You checked to see if he ever had it?
Yes, and
In
expired.
fact, he did have one, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And it expired.
Yes, sir.
During the course of that interview with Mr. Harrison, you also asked him some questions about the end of the day, the end of the school day on the 3rd at English High School, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he indicated to you that he left school around 3 o'clock or so, or something like that?
Yes, he said he got home approximately 4.
At 4. And you got the ride from a friend of his, correct?
That's right.
Mr. Valdez, Steve Valdez?
Steve, yes.
In the interview that later on, you said Valdez, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever speak to Steve Valdez?
No, sir, I
Did
didn't.
you ever try to locate him?
No, sir.
And during the course of the interview that you had with Mr. Harrison, you asked him where he was around 7 o'clock the evening before, which means the 3rd of March, correct?
That's correct.
And he indicated you was at home and there were a couple of other people there, correct?
That's right.
2 sons, correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever try to speak to either of those sons?
No, sir, I didn't.
There's another form that when you're interviewing somebody that you generally use, correct? It's what we might call an EGDMC stub form. You know what that is?
That's noting that the contents of the interview is either being, whatever you're using, if it's going to be audio or video recorded.
And you know, you're supposed to notify the individual he has the right to have it either recorded or not recorded, correct?
Yes.
And there's a form for that, for the individual signed to say whether he wants to waive the taping or agree to the taping, correct?
That, in our setup, what we had at District B2, that is also affixed to the to the interview room for anyone who's entering to see that, so.
Well, during the course of the interview that you just watched on the screen, did you point out that statement to Mr. Harrison?
I stated to him that the contents of this interview would be audio and video recorded. He could
Did you tell him-
raise an objection if he
Did you
wished.
tell him he had the right to refuse that?
No, I did not.
And there's a form for that too, correct? Put it in writing, just like you do the Miranda rights, correct?
Yes, there is.
And you did have him sign the DGDN TISTA form.
It was not applicable at the time, no. It was not necessary.
Well, in order to inform somebody that they have the right to either have it recorded or not recorded, that's necessary, correct?
Yes.
And how do you determine it's not necessary if you don't tell the person?
Mr. Harrison,
I'm not talking about Mr. Harrison, I'm talking about if you don't tell the person they have the right to have it recorded or not recorded, how do you determine whether or not they're aware of that right or they're exercising that right?
that is usually stated during the contents of the interview. I always state that this interview will be audio and video recorded. If the person raises an objection, then it will be ceased.
Did you tell Mr. Harrison that he didn't have it recorded?
No, I did not.
That's it.
Mr. Carroll has asked you a bunch of questions at the beginning of this cross-examination about writing a report, but putting it in writing about your seizure of his gloves and his jacket. Did you write, or when you submitted it, did you fill out the evidence management submission forms?
Yes.
Is that in writing?
Yes.
Does that indicate what you seized, where you seized it, and where it goes?
Yes.
And why is that?
That's a documentation from where the person the evidence is seized from and where you submit the evidence to and what testing you request in the evidence to be tested or not.
And the purpose of that is to, God forbid, know where a piece of item comes from.
Yes.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Are you trained as a scientist to examine items for gunshot residue, hair fibers, or blood?
No, I'm not.
Is there anybody that works for the Boston Police Department that is trained in those
Yes.
things? Who is that?
The crime scene,
Crime lab?
crime lab.
And when those items are submitted to the crime lab, what is their job, generally speaking?
They do the inspection using visual aids or whatever scientific methodology they have to indicate presence of fibers, blood splatters, so forth.
And at some time during the course of an investigation, a piece of evidence that has been seized later becomes a lot more, as the investigation continues, some things that you may have overlooked that has been seized may come into better fruition down the road. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that's to make sure that you seize the items that could, in your experience and training, could later on have some use in an investigation.
That's correct.
Like a phone,
That's correct.
or a jacket,
That's correct.
or gloves.
That's correct.
I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Detective, thank you. You announce the next witness for the body.
Yes, this time the Commonwealth of Massachusetts will call Sergeant Detective Kevin Witherspoon.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to this court and the jury in the issue between the Commonwealth and the defendant shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir, in a live play voice, please introduce yourself to his honor and the members of the jury, spelling your last name for the record.
My name is Kevin Witherspoon. My last name is spelled Witherspoon.
What do you do for work, sir?
I'm a member of the Boston Police Department.
How long have you been a member of the Boston Police Department?
Just about 29 years.
What's your current job title?
Sergeant Detective.
And where are you currently assigned?
Suffolk County DA's Office, Computer Crimes Unit.
What do you do there?
We examine digital evidence, computers, cell phones, SIM cards, memory cards, things of that nature.
How long have you worked for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, Computer Crimes?
Since 2007.
Did you help create that lab?
Yes.
What sorts of training have you received in order to set up that lab and run that lab?
A number of computer forensic training and cell phone forensic training. I attended NCFI, the National Computer Forensic Institute, which is hosted by the United States Secret Service. I attended a number of cell phone forensic courses, Celebrate, MFI, in-case forensics, access data forensics, and many more.
Did you also go to school?
Yes.
Where did you go to school?
College?
Yes.
I have a master's degree from Boston University.
And you went to Curry College as well?
Yes, I remember that.
Have you also lectured on computer forensics and cell phone forensics?
Yes.
And have you attended conferences on the subject of cell phones?
I have, yes.
Can you briefly describe what it is to do a forensic examination of a phone?
Well, it depends on the device and the technical exam, but normally what we do is once an item is submitted into evidence, we decide which tool, software or hardware we're going to use to basically copy the data from the device or take an image of the device. Normally we use a tool called Celebrate. If we use Celebrate, we determine the model number, we connect the phone to a piece of hardware that's attached to our forensic machine. We then select the model number, and in most cases we try and take a complete image or a copy of the device. And not to go too far into detail, but then the data that is extracted from a device is uploaded to our forensic machine, decoded by software that's part of Celebrate or whatever other tool we're using.
When you say image a cell phone, is that taking all of the data off of the cell phone?
In most cases, yes.
And in some cases, the cell phones themselves do not allow for data extraction or data removal?
Yes, that's correct.
So then you have to manually take photographs of what's on the screens?
Correct.
But for the most part, most smartphones are capable of having a digital download.
Today's phones, yes.
And Celebrate is a particular software that you use?
It is.
What are the things that you can recover from it, generally speaking?
In most cases, call logs, text messages, photographs, videos, voicemails, voice recordings, just about everything that today.
Does it appear in the same format as it would if it appeared on a screen?
No. You mean
what's the difference?
I'm sorry. The format that we once You mean the reports that we create?
Yes.
Format? It really depends, but in most cases, we create what's called a PDF report, Adobe PDF report. There is an option to make a Word report or Excel report.
But the content, the actual content of the cell phone, the lettering and all that stuff is taken out of that report.
Yes.
How many cell phones do you think you've examined?
Over 1,000.
Turning your attention to this particular investigation, were you given a phone to do an extraction on back in, I believe it's March 10th of 2015?
Yes.
And that was a phone that was given to you by one of the detectives in this case, is that right?
That's correct.
Let me ask one. Yes. Show you a CD search, you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the report that was created, the exam that took place on 3/10/15.
And that's the W mark, so that's exhibit.
Without objection, please mark it.
You want to run next one, is 41, LCD, smart, 41.
And that phone was then returned to the detectives, is that correct? Remember? We did. Show you an item. Recognize that item?
Yes.
Detective Mason provide that item to you?
Yes.
That's previously marked exhibit number 33 of the publishing run. Did you examine that cell phone, sir?
I did.
And what did you do to examine that cell phone?
We extracted the contents from the device of the data.
And how did you do that?
I used a tool that I described as Celebrate.
And were you able to extract data off that phone?
I was.
Let me approach. I'm going to show you a CD. Do you recognize that CD by DVR? Sorry.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
A copy of the report that was created as extraction.
That's W mark is the next exhibit.
Without objection, please mark it.
Do you do that? 42, right?
That's one. DVR, DVR, which is Let me approach. So I'm going to show you what's been previously marked exhibit for identification exhibit, identification key. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is that?
It's an extraction report.
What is that? An extraction report. Did you generate that extraction report?
Did, yes.
That's the that marks the next exhibit.
Without objection.
I'm sorry. That's the marks the next exhibit.
May now be marked as an exhibit.
Well, what was formerly known as ID, B now becomes 43, corrected that item is still marked 43 extraction.
May I publish a few of these exhibits, Shaun?
You may.
sir, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked exhibit number 42. There's a, on that disk, there's a folder called report.
Yes.
Did you generate that folder?
Yes.
And the second folder is 2015-03-20.15-05-56. What are those initials?
Be the date and time, I believe.
That you did the extraction?
Yes.
And the next folder down, what does that folder indicate?
Model number of the device.
Now the next folder has a bunch of items here. Is that the information that was taken from what was previously marked exhibit number 33?
Yes.
The phone itself?
Yes.
And open up the, so in the file section, there are images, video, documents, audio, and applications. That is the actual files for any video files, any photographs, any chats, any audio, any voicemail. Is that right?
Correct.
The report itself I'm going to open up. Is this the extraction report? Now on the left-hand side here, there is a bookmark area. Is that right?
Yes.
And it provides a summary section.
Yes.
Right? So at the top left corner, it indicates the type of phone that was examined. Is that right?
Yes.
And then it tells you the start and end date of the extraction.
Correct.
And then extraction type, it's a physical extraction.
Correct.
And it talks about what the time zone settings were. Is that right?
Yes.
Case number is for your documentation. Who provided it to you, or the case number you provided from the lab?
Correct.
The evidence name is your name for it.
Yes.
The examiner name is your name.
Yes.
And the department is Boston Police Department. And Bullfinch Place is the location of the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Yes.
The CC number is the central complaint number for the Boston Police Department.
Yes.
Track for the police report and the underlying case, is that right?
Yes.
And then the date of the extraction. Now the notes, did it provide a telephone number for you?
Yes, that was, I manually entered, yes, but that's the number of the device.
And going down, it tells you the IMSI number, is that right?
Yes.
This is page 2 for the record. What is the IMSI number? Not, just generally speaking, what is an IMSI number, generally
The
speaking?
number associated with the device, they have the ICID and IC number that is associated with the device.
And those are provided by the cell phone companies to track the device itself. It's like a serial number for the
Yes.
device
Yes.
when it connects with the network.
Yes.
And then it goes into the content of the context, correct?
Yes.
Starting with the calendar and the call log, the missed calls, the outgoing calls, the unknown calls, the chats. And then it also talks about the timeline as a section, is that right?
Yes.
And what is the timeline generally speaking? The timeline for this, what is the timeline? Does it set it up in from the very first item to the very end?
It means it's a device in chronological order most of the times.
And it's a mixture of both the text messages, the SMS messages, and the voicemails and the call logs all in one timeline
Yes.
chronologically, is that right? And what's the difference between a, just gonna go back up for a moment. What's the difference between a MMS message and a those are types of text messages, is that right? SMS messages, simple messages?
Yeah, short message, just an SMS. MMS would be a message that has I'm sorry. MMS is a message that has a photograph or something attached to it, multimedia message.
And Mr. Harrison's phone also had some SIM cards attached to it, is that right?
We don't track by names. Can you just give me which phone number, what you're talking about? And it was just one phone that had 2 SIM cards.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked to number 33. That's something you had when you received it. Did it have another SIM card attached to it?
Yes.
Did you do an extraction on that SIM card?
Yes.
What generally speaking is?
It's basically a small piece of plastic. It slides into the device and it allows the phone to communicate with the network.
Does it give the phone, the physical phone, the telephone number?
Yes.
Did you perform an examination of that SIM card?
Yes.
I'll show you the documents. You recognize the documents?
Yes.
What is that?
SIM card trash.
Does that indicate a telephone number on the first page at the bottom?
I'm sorry, I think this is not correct.
Sorry, I didn't know. Did you bring any documents with you here today?
Yes.
Did you bring a report with regards to the SIM card?
Yes, we bring, most of it. Partial report.
For my question, did you, when you extracted that SIM card, did it come with a different telephone number?
Yes.
What was the different telephone number?
So I just want to get clarification once again. So one of the SIM cards is the same phone. The second SIM card has a different phone.
Okay. What's the SIM card?
The SIM card on the first, the one that's attached to the phone, is the same phone number that we gave for the device, 400493. The SIM card extraction for the extraction for the second SIM card has a different phone number, and the last four of that is 4186. So that one will be different.
You read the full telephone number of that?
Yes, it's 857. 236-4186.
Let me approach. showing you was previously marked as number 43.
Yes.
That's the difference. That's the for the full extraction of the phone.
Yes.
And what was the telephone number associated with the phone?
857-258-0493.
That's this.
That's this one first.
And the second SIM card is this one.
Yes.
It has the district marks. I got 11. So one is SIM card number 1 and one is SIM card number 2.
SIM card number one,
Oh, yes, please. About these? Is there an objection? Mr. Carroll, is there an objection to the addition?
I'd like to be heard about the addition.
In other words, there's an objection. Mr. Hall, please. Call that case.
so and then mark them.
Yes, you are.
Our next two numbers, so SIM card number 1 is 44, which was SIM card number 1. And then SIM card number 2, you're on a 45.
I may publish these, John? Exhibit number 43, there's a SIM card. With a telephone number associated at the bottom, is that correct, sir?
So this is 43 here, this exhibit. This is a phone, it's not a SIM card, this is the actual phone report.
Okay.
So,
And then the SIM card itself was exhibit 45, had a different telephone number?
yes.
Now, at some point, I asked you to extract just the telephone number of the victim and provide a report of all of the communications between the defendant's phone and the victim's phone. Is that right?
Yes, I was asked to provide a report. You gave me a particular number, asked me to create a report with just the communication between that number and the device.
And that's the contents of exhibit number 43. So you are provided with 2 telephone numbers for this type of report, is that right? The phone number from the phone itself, and then a detective or a DA can give you a number and you can generate a report of all the contacts between those 2 numbers, is that right? From that phone?
Yes.
So this is also broken down into certain sections, is that right?
Yes.
So this is the, again, telephone number, 258-0493. This is your report, is that correct?
Yes.
And anytime that number appears in that phone that was given, exhibit, every time that phone number appears in that data extraction, it's going to put it in this report, is that right?
Yes.
The telephone number that was provided to you, it's not the number of the phone, right?
Correct.
During the course of the examination of the phone, are you able to recover deleted texts and deleted communications?
In most cases, yes. In some cases, yes.
Were you able to do that in this case?
Yes.
And what did you find the number that was provided to you, 857-266-1714, were those deleted or undeleted texts and communications from the defense phone?
I believe they were, majority of it, not all.
I'll allow it. Please, sir.
I don't have that in front of me. I believe the majority of them, if not all, I believe the majority of the content or the communication was deleted.
Now, turning your attention to this, page 3 of exhibit number 43, incoming 15 uncategorized. What does that indicate from the report?
Those are just 15 incoming,
I'm sorry?
15 incoming call logs, if that's what you're asking. That is the call log section we're in right now. So there were 15 calls from that particular number that were recovered. That's all I can answer with that.
The number here is the number that was provided to by the detectives to you, or the
Yes.
to you?
Yes.
And Lewis English, was that a name that the phone assigned a name to that number?
No, that would have had, someone would have to have manually entered those letters.
Whoever owned the phone put that name to that number.
I can't.
If he knows.
That is the name for the record, I didn't get it.
Lewis English?
Do I get involved in this? It was objections from the school.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry.
But an objection,
Yes.
and the objection is what?
If Mr. Brown's person is understood, it was, who puts that name there? If he knows.
Well, that was my answer. I don't know who did that.
But was it anybody from the Boston Police Department or
Objection.
that you know?
Once he knows, everybody in the Boston Police Department.
All I can answer is that someone who had possession of this device entered that, those letters, that name, is associated with the phone number. I don't know when it was entered or who entered it.
Okay. But when you extracted it from the phone, that number was associated with that.
Absolutely, yes, it was.
And in the last column here, that says delete, what does that mean?
It means that it wasn't recovered by the software.
But it was deleted by...
Deleted from the device, yes.
There's a missed call section of 3 missed calls from this number, 857-266-1714, is that right?
Yes.
And there was some outgoing phone calls, 15 outcoming phone calls to that number, 857-266-1714.
Yes.
And some of those outgoing phone calls were deleted in that category as saying deleted, which means that the software recovered it, is that right?
Yes.
Let me just back up a few. You get this phone assigned to you, given to you, you have no idea who's typed it or used it or anything like that. You just extract the data off it and
Exactly.
make a report.
Right.
Now, SMS messages, those are the simple messages?
Short message system.
Short
Text
message
message.
system, okay. And there's 120 text messages from that number, 857-266-1714, is that right?
Correct.
And the contents, it says delete,
Yes.
that would be whether it's recovered or not, is that right?
Yes.
The content of the message itself is the information that was extracted from the phone.
Yes.
On page 6, this is going through page 6, these are the messages from that number, 857-266-1714, is that right?
Correct.
And it starts on page 5, it starts as number 1, and it goes through all the way to page 10, 120 text, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
And then the uncategorized is 119 uncategorized text messages to that number, 857-266-1714.
Correct.
And that's on page 11, and going through page 11, page 16, there's 119 of those, is that right?
Correct.
Now, again, there's a section titled timeline, is that right?
Yes.
And the timeline section is the chronological order of calls, simple messages, and MMS messages, if there are there.
Yes.
So the first, when you extracted that data from the phone, the first message that was any communication between that phone and that device to 857-266-1714 is that first line, I got you, you got me, family 2, true, little, real little G. Is that right?
Yes.
And on line 14 here, that's the, there was a text message sent from that number to the phone indicating a message about the weed drying out. Is that right?
I would have to read it.
It would be number 16.
I'm sorry. Are you asking me to read this? I'm just triggered. Which one? There's one outgoing, there's one incoming.
This one right here.
Okay. Yes.
So this starts February 2nd of 2016 at 12:17 p.m. and the UTC is Universal Time Coordinates. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or essentially Greenwich Mean Time?
Yes, this is UTC -5. It just means it's in the correct time zone.
Which would be Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Be February 6th or February 7th.
I believe it's February 6th now. And the timeline goes all the way through to March 4th of 2015, is that right?
Yes.
So there's a phone call from that device to that number 857-266-1714, is that right?
Correct.
Turning your attention to line 264. It was an outgoing text message, which means that the message was sent from that phone to 857-266-1714, is that right?
Yes.
Line number 264?
Yes.
And that indicates my G, meet me at McDonald's, 7 o'clock, got your Molly and movie, is that right?
700. Yes.
And the next line over, as you just did, there's a question of whether that 700 meant 7 at the time. And there's a text message back from that number saying line 265 at 7.
Yes.
A little bit higher, line 257, sent on March 1st of 2015 at 1:56 p.m. to that number 857-266-1714. I, KNO, but we all a team. I'm bagging shit in 2 hours. You are the only one. That was sent from that device to that number, is that right?
Yes.
And that was also deleted, is that right?
Yes.
And then also that last one about, all of these, including the one about McDonald's, meet me at McDonald's, that was deleted as well, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
May I have a brief moment now? Yeah, I also published Exhibit 41 here on the first one of the studies. Again, sir, there's a report. That's, the second folder is the date of the extraction for you.
Yes.
Now this is a different type of device. This is an Apple device.
Yes.
Was the password provided to you on that device?
I believe so, yes.
And you were able to draft a report?
Correct.
You did a full dump of that, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, just kind of 2015 Apple 5C, Detective Witherspoon, phone number is 617-318-82.1, is that right?
Yes.
In these reports, you can view or control after you find things, is that right?
Yes.
So if we were to type in 857, five, 8, 0493. That would see if there was any communication between the phone that you did the dump, that we had just been talking about, and this phone, is that right?
Yes.
There's an objective in this process.
I understand why. You want to do an alternative way?
Sure. I'm going to turn your attention to page 101 of that report. If you did the phone dump with that phone, did Mr. Harrison's, I'm sorry, that number associated with the phone that you did the dump of, that you have in front of you, is that exhibit number 33, sir? 33? The phone number that you took out of that phone, an exhibit number 43. Telephone number there, 857.
Yes.
That number appear in this, the phone that you first did in this case?
Yes.
And that would be on page 101,
Yes.
line 100.
Yes.
And the name that was associated, that whoever had the phone associated with that number was Mike Budsman.
Correct.
Were you able to also extract voicemail message?
I don't know if there were voicemail or voice recordings.
But there were recordings of this,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yes.
I'll turn your attention now to, under files, under audio, number 74.
I'll bring it tomorrow. I got it in a plastic container. So I'll see you in the morning.
Yes. This audio file was found on the phone that you did the extraction on, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll bring it tomorrow. I got it in a plastic container. So I'll see you in the morning.
We'll turn your attention to page 275 of that report. That file, 74.AMR, is associated with the telephone number 857-580493.
Correct.
And the phone received it on March 2nd, 2015, at 10:40 p.m. UTC -5, is that right?
Correct.
That would be the same.
Yeah, well, I'll bring it tomorrow. I got it in a plastic container. So I'll see you in the morning.
Can I have a brief moment now?
We'll break for lunch, we'll see everyone at 2 o'clock, and
All rise. There's no presence here. Step down and follow me, please.